Welcome to Arjun Bhagat Decodes or AB Decodes. Today we have Ambassador Ajay Bisaria with us. He was our ambassador to Poland, High Commissioner to Canada, and High Commissioner to Pakistan. Welcome, Ajay. We're meeting again after a few months. Let's talk about Ukraine and the United States and of course Russia. You have been a Russian expert. How do you view? Of course, we have Donald Trump, who says he wants the war to end. He doesn't want to keep funding the war. And I think many of those are very legitimate reasons. People are getting killed. It's costing the United States a huge amount. And it seems to be an endless war. At the same time, the Russians have occupied now maybe 20% or 27%. I'm not sure of the figures. Maybe 7% was earlier. Now it's 20% more. They're sitting on 27% of Ukraine's landmass. And they have President Donald Trump saying that, okay, you make this. We saw the conversation at the White House. I don't think the public at large has ever seen a conversation like that. I don't know what you guys do behind closed doors. Maybe it's like that, maybe it's not. But what is the end game of Putin? We know what President Trump wants. What is the Russian president's end game?
First on that conversation, yes, those kind of conversations are held, but behind closed doors. It's unique to have them in front of the media.
So those conversations become very intense and personal, and people walk out of meetings.
And even in or they can be very tough conversations, because even for instance in 1999 on the 4th of July, when Nawaz Sharif went to the White House, Clinton had a very tough conversation with him. He said, you take your forces out of here, else we will make it very hard for you to go back to Pakistan. So those are the kind of tough conversations, but they took place in the closed doors of the Blair House. And
So Bill Clinton said that I won't let you go back to Pakistan from the White House.
he said essentially, I have a good statement and a bad statement. If I make a bad statement saying Pakistan is responsible for this and
Stop the Kargil incursion.
exactly, then you won't be able to go back home. So tough conversations do take place, but not in front of the media. So, if there's a lesson for diplomacy 101, in that conversation, it should be shown in school.
Don't have people like me around witnessing that. But I think he wanted it. I mean, you could clearly make out that.
No, I don't think he wanted it. But once he got it, he thought.
And he enjoyed it. Once, yeah. And he said that.
But I think, the process was flawed, because in the White House, when you have a, guest with whom you have some differences.
And you had visited the White House with the Prime Minister Vajpayee.
Absolutely. So, this is a format at the White House, I would argue, which is flawed. Ours is much better, and everywhere in the world, when a leader comes, you shake hands, you smile for the camera, you go inside closed rooms, you have it out, whatever you want to have out, and then come back and say something to the media. But even before you've gone and had your conversation, you are arguing in front of the.
It was as if the negotiation was happening right there.
Absolutely. They forgot that the negotiations had to be done behind closed doors. So neither party achieved its objectives. I don't think the US achieved it, and nor did Ukraine. And the whole process was delayed by a month. Fortunately, it didn't end there, that process. It just got delayed by maybe 3 or 4 weeks. But coming back to your question on what is Putin's endgame, so it's hard enough being a Putin whisperer to figure out what's in his mind. These days, you have to be a Putin whisperer and a Trump whisperer to figure out what
What's
the
happening.
two are doing.
I mean, they had a 2-hour conversation. That's what they said.
Absolutely. So last week, he had a 2-hour conversation with Putin and another one with Zelensky. But Putin's endgame is really something where he sees a peace agreement in sight. You have to remember that Russia is also fatigued by this war. It's gone on for 3 years.
Had massive casualties as well.
Massive casualties, loss of blood and treasure, and the economy in deep trouble. So he wants the war to end, but he wants a peace agreement of the war. So normally in a settlement, you have a 2-stage process. You first get a ceasefire and a breathing room, and then you negotiate a peace plan. Now, Putin's worry is that if he gives an unconditional ceasefire for a month, it will give Ukraine an opportunity to rearm, to regroup, and possibly even change its mind and start another war or resume the war.
Right.
Whereas what he would like is some visibility of the end game, the peace plan. And I think that is what we will get even as we speak in Saudi Arabia. The Americans
Yeah,
are
those
meeting
conversations are
with the
taking place.
Russians, they're meeting with the Ukrainians, the experts are meeting. And I think what will come out of it, we have right now a partial ceasefire. Is a more durable ceasefire. It'll have a maritime element, a land element, plus some elements of the eventual peace plan, which means essentially security guarantees. The security guarantee for Russia is that Ukraine will not join NATO, and for Ukraine is that Russia will not invade again. So some of that to be addressed. And I think if I predict what is going to happen or what we expect will happen in the next few weeks, I would think 4 to 8 weeks, a meeting between Putin and Trump in Saudi Arabia. Maybe
That's definitely going to happen because, he loves the camera. President Trump loves the camera. I don't think Putin would enjoy it that much. But yeah, as far as being on the world stage, I think they'll both enjoy that moment.
yes. So I think when you sign on the dotted line, that is the moment. But before that, there's a lot of heavy lifting the experts have to do and reassure Russia. And, typically in a conflict, this is the ugliest part of the conflict.
Right.
Because just before the ceasefire deal or the peace deal, both sides want to get a battleground advantage.
Right.
And that's when they're both.
Clearly, now it seems that Ukraine is on the back foot. The Russians have got hold of the territory that they had lost, pretty much. The dice is in favor of Russia right now.
Absolutely. So the battleground advantage is for Russia, but Ukraine isn't done yet. It still has the capacity, it has the drones, it can, still fight.
Striking cities in Russia, which has never happened. Actually, after World War II, that has never happened.
Exactly. So what we need is to, for Putin would want the ceasefire plan to come packaged with the long-term peace plan. And he would want his handshake and audience and conversation with Trump. And Trump will want his Camp David Nobel Peace Prize moment
Yeah,
where he might
he's
want
been
to,
waiting for that.
even his scenario would be to get the Russian and the Ukrainian in the same room and to broker that deal. So I think that is a distinct possibility, and that will be a huge plus for the rest of the world.
Let's briefly talk about this entire mineral deal between President Trump and the Ukrainian President Zelensky. That was supposed to be the core discussion when Zelensky visited the White House, and then things erupted there. The mineral deal is worth about, according to President Trump, worth about $500 billion for rare minerals that the United States requires. How realistic is this deal? And the assumption being that if United States, their companies come and start mining this area, the Russians will not attack that region or will not attack Ukraine. How do you see this? And also, it seems to be such transactional. Of course, all diplomacy and trade is transactional, but in this case, it's overt. And that's another thing that President Trump has done, right?
Yes, so I think it's very interesting. This mineral deal is the new diplomacy. This is the new diplomacy of real estate transactions as geopolitics, reality TV as diplomacy, and mineral deal was part of both these conversations. So what we have now is the mineral deal that was not signed in the White House. That was the script. They were supposed to sit, shake hands, then go sign the deal, and Zelensky was supposed to go home. That did not happen. So what is happening now is that the deal is ready and the Ukrainians are ready to sign it. So it has two parts to it. One is the optics, and the second is the security guarantee. The optics are the domestic optics of Trump.
Right.
Because he is making the point that, look, my predecessor governments, Obama and Biden, really screwed up. They were the ones who gave away billions of dollars. $350 billion is the number he says. And people say it's exaggerated by $100 billion, whatever the number. And he's going to stop it, A, by making the Europeans pay their fair share, and B, by getting something in return. What does Ukraine have? Nothing. Oh, but it has maybe $2 trillion worth of mineral deposits, so he'll take $500 billion worth of deposits. Now, this is something the experts are saying, which is 10 years down the line. It's not that you
Right.
dig and get those, but it is a optics point to be made to domestic constituencies and the base that, look, I got back something from this which is in the interest of the American people, apart from the fact that I stopped people from getting killed, which is a humanitarian objective. But the second part of it is, which Trump's ecosystem is amplifying, is that this is a de facto security guarantee. Because once you have mineral deposits and American companies signing deals and going there and actively involved, then Russian bombs should not fall on them, because then they are US companies. So this becomes a de facto security guarantee for Zelensky or for Ukraine, because the Russians are not going to accept any peacemakers. So the conversation initially was that European peacemakers would go under different flags and maintain the peace. The Russians have said no, but they've indicated they might accept, U.S. companies, and they've said they could even come to some of those minerals are in the territories occupied by Russia, and they said they'd be welcome to come there as well.
So basically, between the two powers, they're going to carve out Ukraine pretty bad, right? I'll take the minerals. You take a little bit of land. Some power stations will go to go to me.
Exactly. So this is the sphere of influence, the real estate deal world,
Yeah.
where
You have the New York real estate tycoon, at the heart of the U.S. negotiations now.
absolutely.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for watching this clip on ABD codes. As you know, we are taking a deep dive into some complex issues and decoding them for you. So don't forget to check out more content on our channel. And also, we'd love to hear back from you with your comments and your suggestions. So let's explore together on ABD codes.